So, everybody knows I'm a movie guy, and I absolutely love movies. So I was thinking, what are some of my favorite movies? Then I got to thinking even deeper and was like, what are some of my favorite characters for some of my favorite movies? So you want to know some of my favorite movies and some of my favorite characters from those movies and what fragrances I think they would have worn? Meet me on the other side of this intro and I'll tell you all about it. What's going on, everybody? You guessed it. You are in the right place. It is your boy, LL Cool Trey, Trey Belafonte. That's right, it's your boy Trey B in the building. Listen, what y'all think about me selling some merch? Would y'all rock some cool hats with either TS on them for Trey Sense or Trey Belafonte? Would y'all rock that? Would y'all rock a TB t-shirt? A nice ball cap, nice fitted cap with TB on it. I need to get that trademark. I need to get me something drawn up, don't I? Who knows? You never know. Listen, so I was thinking, as I do way too much of that, and I thought to myself, as you already know from the intro, so never mind. So, what are some of my favorite movies? I'm not going to name any that's in this list, but some of my favorite movies, going in 60 seconds. Love the Fast and Furious series, except for one or two of them. What is that movie? Con Air. I love Con Air. I love London Has Fallen. I love the Capitals. What's it called? The Capitals Fallen. White House Has Fallen. White House Down. Whatever it is. There's London Has Fallen. And then what's the other one? I don't know, White House Down or something, I don't know. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The one with Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx in it. That's a pretty good one. I love Taken. I think Taken is a pretty good movie. What do you say? I have a specific set of skills that I'm going to use to track you down. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill you. Love that. Transformers, like that movie as well. One of my favorite movies of all time. Is Predator. Absolutely love the Predator series. Predator 1, Predator 2, Alien vs. Predator, Alien vs. Predator 2, Predators. But I have to say out of that, I think Predator and Predators are my favorite two out of that, man. Those movies just go ham. I also like, don't shoot me, The Purge. Love that series. I think it's a good line of movies as well. Let's go back old school on you. Christine. The movie scared me when I was a kid. I don't know why, but there's something eerie about that boy. There's something wrong with that boy. You know what I'm saying? He was off. I remember movies like The Goonies. Love movies. Anyway, I digress now. So, I'm going to introduce the movie and the fragrance as I go. So, and these are in no particular order. A movie that, and most of these movies are just like my fragrances. They don't get a lot of hype and a lot of talk, with the exception of one. Well, two. Two of these get tons of hype and tons of talk, but with the exception of one. This first one that I'm going to tell you about is one of my favorite movies. I went to the theater when it came out. I have it somewhere on DVD, even bought the movie soundtrack. The name of the movie is Hoodlum. Now, this is based on a true story, and the character in this movie that is my favorite character in this particular movie is played by Lawrence Fishburne. And it is Bumpy Johnson. But the movie is roughly based on the true life story of Bumpy Johnson. Also, you have characters in it like Lucky Luciani, Dutch Schultz, several other gangsters that were prevalent at that time. Each one of them had their thing. Like Bumpy and Madam Queen, they did the numbers. Dutch Schultz was into alcohol because at the time alcohol was illegal. Lucky, well, he was a pimp. He had girls. That's what he did. So, but anyway, the fragrance in my collection that I think best represents Bumpy Johnson is Dunhill for men, the original Dunhill for men. Why? Because guys back then, it was during Prohibition, so nobody had a whole lot, period. And his stuff is so barbershop and so strong. But men dressed, or at least tried to. They put on shoes, suit, tie, suspenders. Even if they wore the same suit all week, they still tried to dress and be, and tried to dress like somebody and carry themselves like somebody. Harlem at that time was bumping and jumping. So I feel like this is a fragrance that would have, for that time period, if it had been around. I'm not sure when they made Dunhill. It wasn't much after the 20s and Prohibition. So wasn't long after that they came out with this bad boy. Seriously, I think it was like in the 40s. But it's just the type of fragrance that I think a rough, masculine guy like Bumpy Johnson would have worn. Both in the movie and in real life, because again, it's loosely based on a true story. So Lawrence Fishburne played Bumpy Johnson. You see what I'm saying? Which Bumpy just happened to be a real person. So the first one, Dunhill for men, and this represents from the movie Hoodlum, Bumpy Johnson, played by Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence is not a bad actor. He's not a bad actor. All right, where I want to go next. Okay, this next fragrance represents a movie that I absolutely love. Man, I love this movie. It takes me back to a younger Trey Sentz for several different reasons. But this movie is a classic. This movie, nobody really talks about it, but it's a classic movie. On one end, you have Robert De Niro. On the other hand, you have Al Pacino, and they play opposites of each other this entire movie. And there's two scenes that makes this movie a classic. So one, I'm fixing to give it away, if you hadn't already guessed it, is the bank shootout scene. There's a shootout scene where the crew, that's what they call them, the crew, gets caught in the bank, and they have to get out. They don't retreat. They strategically and tactically escape, and it's a thing of beauty. And the other is Robert De Niro and Al Pacino sit down at a cafe and they have a conversation, and it is a very interesting conversation. The movie that I'm talking about is none other than Heat, and the character that I'm talking about is Neil McCauley. He plays the leader of the crew, and the fragrance that I think best represents him is Robert Graham's Valour. Why? I've talked about this fragrance several times. Because it just smells good. Now, the thing about this fragrance is I think it's been discontinued, and I'm sure the price has shot up. This is a fragrance I paid $30 for. Whole time knowing it's well worth more than $30, but it's been discontinued, so I'm sure the price now is well over $100. But it's funny because when it came out, the price was well over $100, and Dunhill has filled this room. That stuff, I should have never sprayed 3 sprays of that. But this fragrance to me best represents Neil McCauley. Tell you a little bit about this scene though. When they sit down in the cafe, they just talking back and forth. And, typical picture. Y'all excuse me. Picture typical Al Pacino and typical Robert De Niro. How Robert De Niro always pronounces his words, and he's always got that same stoic look. It's very rarely do you see him smile in a movie. He's got that same stoic look on his face. Well, those two are sitting right across from each other, both of them in suit and tie. Well, in suits. One of them is a police officer. The other one is a bank robber, because that's what the movie's about. Robbing banks. There's a scene, there's a line. I can't remember what Pacino asked, we'll say Neil. But his response was, old man once told me never to allow myself to get attached to anything that I can't, how did he put that? That I can't walk away from in 30 seconds or less when I feel the heat coming around the corner. And I was like, man, it stuck with me I don't know why. To me, that was just a cool line in a movie. But this fragrance, I think, represents both Robert De Niro, or at least Neil McCauley, because ain't nobody really talks about this fragrance. Never really did. This fragrance never really got a lot of hype, and I don't know why, because it is an absolutely amazing fragrance. Polarizing, I would say. Very well made. very well blended, and I am proud to have this in my collection. It is one of my best smelling fragrances, Robert Graham Valour, and I think it absolutely represents Neil McCauley, played by Robert De Niro in the movie Heat. Robert Graham's Valour. That's funny. Robert De Niro, Robert Graham. I just made that connection now. But y'all, man, if y'all haven't seen that movie, do yourself a favor. Download it, Google it, YouTube it, whatever you got to do. You are going to want to see that. I've got 3 left. Another one of my favorite all-time movies, and this one is loosely based on a true story as well. Again, actor Denzel Washington played a drug kingpin. Just gave it away. The movie I'm talking about is American Gangster. The character is Frank Lucas, played by, of course, Denzel Washington. And the fragrance that I think Frank Lucas would have wore, Azzaro per Homme. Again, no nonsense type of guy. Liked to dress nice, kept himself clean. I used to watch interviews of the real Frank Lucas. That was a funny dude, man. You know, he ain't kind of a graspy boy, talk like this, almost like Sling Blade. But you ask him about stories, man, and he would say, nah, it ain't true. But I heard several stories about him being a true gangster. Not that I'm trying to glorify violence or anything like that, but history is history. Whether it's, you know, Native American history or African American history or gangsters in Harlem history. History is history. It happened, so don't blame me. But, you know, I watched some documentaries on him. They talking about for years they couldn't get anybody to testify because he either had them killed or scared them off. They're talking about him hanging people over the balcony. Now, none of this is in the movie. This is all just stuff that they put in the documentary. But nonetheless, I think Frank Lucas would have worn Azzaro's per Homme. And this is an old school, powerhouse, masculine type of scent that you really have to be a man to pull off. I happen to like this fragrance, and you can see by the levels. I happen to like this fragrance. And American Gangster is definitely one of my favorite movies, as Denzel is one of my favorite actors. So I got 2 more. And if you've watched this channel, you already know. You're probably waiting on training day. So let's just go on to get training day out the way. What do you say? What do he say? Those are just college kids. Yeah, well, they're going to get an education today. Stay off of the rover. Love that scene. For some reason, that's just my favorite. That's like my favorite scene in the movie. You want to go to jail, you want to go home. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. Boom. That's the point. That's the whole point. Love it. That is one. That is like my joint. So, in my collection, again, this is just privy to my collection. What fragrance do I think Lonzo would have sprayed on before he left his woman's house or his house or the hotel, the casino, wherever Lonzo would have been coming from? I can't think of nothing else but red tobacco. I just feel like this is what he would have wore. Man, why? Because it's masculine, it's strong, it's not your average everyday fragrance, and everybody can't pull this off. They just can't. You got to have some chest to pull this off. You know what I'm saying? You got to have some fortitude. You got to be a man. You got to be a man. You can't be soft in any form and wear this. I ain't trying to talk about nobody or bash nobody, nothing like that. I'm just saying, this fragrance right here, this is what Lonzo Harris would have sprayed on before he left the house. So, representing the movie and one of my favorites, Training Day, and the fragrance that I think Lonzo Harris was my favorite character in that movie would have worn is Mancera's Red Tobacco, as I screw the top back on and put him back in my bag. Now, y'all probably thinking right about now, Trey, you talk about Training Day all the time. What movie could have been more of a favorite to you than Training Day? Well, I'll give you a hint on what movie out there that was more of a favorite to me than Training Day. And what character? I mean, it's the greatest movie of all time, made about the greatest place in the world, about a person that represents toughness, heart, determination, refused to quit. He was 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing, and he hung in there with some of the best players in the land. Did you get it yet? Well, come on, everybody start chanting with me. Rudy, Rudy, Rudy. That's right. That's right. That's right. The movie is Rudy. Played by Sean Austin. So what fragrance in my collection, you might ask, represents Rudy? I'm finna to tell you. From the house of, I ain't even gonna bother. You see it. You see it. That gold right there is everything. You see that cheapo? You can't find no stankies with Alabama in no, you can't find it. You see that Sam? You see that Sam? You can't find no Clemson cologne, bruh. And if you find it, you don't want it. You see that? All gold, everything. So what fragrance in my collection, get it, best represents Rudy? Oh my gosh. I don't even want to drop this bottle. Look at that. Would y'all look at that? Would you look at that? What fragrance in my collection best represents Rudy? Ooh. I ain't got to say it. I'm because this bottle represent Heisman Trophy, national champion, all of that is represented right here. So if Rudy was fixing to go to class or go to practice or just got out the shower, that's what he gonna spray on. ND Gold, baby. You see it. I know some of y'all right now. I know. I understand. And this is the best smelling fragrance in the world. Apple note up top. Oh my goodness. I don't know when the last time I sprayed this was, y'all. I'm gonna give it. Boy, that smell like champions right there. That smell like, man, I can't describe that. I can't describe it. I can't put, but I just want to show you that gold one more time. And then in case you missed it, just in case you missed it, that right there, that all gold everything. You see that? Just in case you missed it, representing them Cherokee High School colors as well, they're blue and gold. I've been blue and gold my whole life, y'all. I don't know nothing else. I've been blue and gold since I was 6 or 7 years old. Oh my goodness, and look at the box. Look at the box, Brad Pitt. Look at the box. See the look. Got the gold dome on there. See? That's enough. We done woke up the echo. Cheer for old Notre Dame. Anyway, man, I hope y'all enjoyed this. And my phone stays dead. I'm gonna have to either get a new phone or a new battery. My cheap butt is probably leaning towards paying $50 and getting a new battery and rolling on because I like my phone. I have no need to change. Anyway, that has been 5 fragrances that represent 5 of my favorite movies and 5 of my favorite characters in those movies and the fragrances that I think that they would wear based on my collection. Y'all, man, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please be sure to like, share, and all of that stuff. Be active in the comments section. Tell me what your favorite movie is, who your favorite character in that movie is, and what fragrance that you think that they would wear. I'm going to jump off here. Again, please be sure to like, share, and sub. Be active in the comments section. Thank you all for tuning in and being the best part of my channel. May God bless you all. Until next time, peace.